Take a deep breath with me. You know those days when, out of nowhere, everything starts going wrong at the same time? The message disappears, your text freeze, the email won't send, your laptop decides to update right when you need it most, and to top it off, someone completely misunderstands what you just said? A lot of people look at that mess and think, oh my God, what has happened with my life? That's exactly where he shows up. Mercury Retrograde, the main character of the end-of-year cosmic drama. But before you panic, light every candle in the house and swear you're not even leaving the couch until this transit is over. Let me tell you something as an experienced astrologer. Mercury Retrograde is not the horror movie villain the internet makes it out to be. Can it be annoying, delay things, and mess up your plans a bit? Yes, but at the same time, it's a very powerful time for review, especially when it hits at the end of the year, when we're already exhausted, rushed, and juggling a ton of decisions. Let's start with the basics. What is Mercury Retrograde? Anyway, astronomically, Mercury doesn't actually move backwards. It's an optical illusion, a perspective effect from Earth, because Mercury's orbit is faster than ours. It's like when you're in a car and the car next to you looks like it's going backward because of the difference in speed. But in astrology, that illusion has a very real symbolic impact. Everything Mercury rules, communication, thinking, technology, short trips, documents, negotiations, goes into review mode, as if the universe hit a big rewind and double-check button. Now think about this with me. The end of the year is exactly when we want to speed everything up. There are gifts to buy, trips to plan, goals to hit, hard conversations to have, contract to sign, decisions to make so we can start the new year right. And it's in the middle of that chaos that Mercury Retrograde shows up and whispers, "Hey, are you sure you're paying attention?" That's why it feels like problems multiply during this time. It's not because the sky is out to get you. It's because you are already on the edge, and this transit just exposes everything you were doing on autopilot. A lot of people come to me for readings absolutely freaking out, thinking Mercury Retrograde is going to destroy the end of the year, the trips, the family gatherings, the New Year's plans. And I always say the same thing. No, it's not going to destroy anything, but will force you to be more present. It will make you review and correct. It's like a magnifying glass over everything you were about to do without thinking. Is it uncomfortable? Yes, but it's also an incredible chance not to repeat the same old mistakes. The truth is, Mercury Retrograde has almost turned into an urban legend. The internet loves memes, exaggeration, drama. And it's fun, I get it. But if you stay only in the fear, you miss the chance to use this period wisely. It's not a punishment, it's an invitation. When Mercury moves backward in the sky, it's inviting you to do the same inside yourself. Go back, remember, review conversations, reread contracts, reorganize plans, reconsider what you had already decided without really thinking it through. At the end of the year, that becomes even more powerful. This time of year is already, by nature, a moment of reflection. We think about what worked, what hurt, what we left unfinished. The difference is that with Mercury Retrograde, that reflection often shows up as practical situations. That email that didn't go through, that conversation that never really ended, that payment that didn't drop, that detail you ignored. Then it feels like the universe is against you. But in reality, it's just showing you where you weren't truly present. So instead of thinking, oh no, Mercury Retrograde is going to ruin my year end, I want you to start looking at this period differently. Okay, this is a perfect time to slow down, double check everything, and avoid big impulsive decisions. Throughout this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what not to do during this transit. Because yes, there are certain moves that tend to bring extra headaches when Mercury is retrograde, especially during the holidays, trips, and all those high emotion moments. And if you've already gone through some Mercury retrograde chaos, you're probably going to see yourself in several of the situations I'm going to mention. Maybe you already lost a plane ticket because of one wrong digit. Maybe you sent a message to the wrong person. Maybe you bought something expensive and instantly regretted it. None of that happens just because of bad luck. Those are signs that your pace was way too fast. And this period showed up as a kind of spiritual emergency brake. My job here is not to scare you, it's to give you clarity. When we understand a transit, the feeling of being out of control gets smaller. You know what's going on, you know where to step carefully, and you know what you can actually make the most of. Because yes, Mercury retrograde also has a bright side. Reconnections, reviews that save you from bigger losses, conversations that finally get cleared up, second chances, old ideas that come back stronger than before. But all of that works much better when you respect the timing of things instead of fighting it. So before I get into the specifics of what you shouldn't do during this time, rush contracts, impulsive long texts, poorly thought out purchases, and more, I want you to make a deal with yourself. This year end, you are not going to live on autopilot. You're going to pause before you answer, review before you hit send, and reflect before you commit to anything final. If you start from that mindset, you'll already avoid at least half of the classic Mercury retrograde problems. Now, if what I've said so far makes sense and you've already recognized yourself in at least one Mercury retrograde mess, take a moment and tell me in the comments, what was the worst situation you've lived through in this transit? Was it a message sent to the wrong person? A canceled trip? A contract you signed without reading? I love reading these stories because they help other people recognize themselves too. And if this content is helping you understand what's really going on in your life, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with that friend who's always saying, everything goes wrong for me at the end of the year. Maybe all they're missing is understanding what the sky is trying to show. Now that you understand Mercury retrograde isn't some cosmic monster, but more like a yellow warning light blinking on the dashboard of your life, let's dive into one of the trickiest topics of this transit: big decisions and contracts. Especially at the end of the year, when everyone wants to fix their life on fast forward, this becomes a real minefield. And whoever ignores it usually pays the price later. Sometimes in money, sometimes in emotional headaches. Think about typical year-end vibes. Companies closing the books, bosses pushing deadlines, family members asking, so, are you getting married or not? Moving? Quitting? Traveling? Non-stop promotions popping up online. Ads screaming last chance. Only today, don't miss this opportunity. Now mix all of that with a transit that symbolizes review, slower communication, forgotten details, misunderstandings. The result? Permanent decisions made with half the information, contracts signed without proper reading, promises made under emotional pressure. As an astrologer, I always say, Mercury retrograde by itself doesn't forbid you from signing anything. Life goes on. Bills are due. Deadlines arrive. The world doesn't hit pause. But this transit asks you to take a much more mature approach. No acting just out of excitement, fear of missing out, or the urge to escape an uncomfortable situation. If you do need to make an important decision during this time, it has to be very well grounded. What Mercury retrograde hits hardest is unconscious rushing. Let's talk about some classic end-of-year examples. One of them is changing jobs. A lot of people exhausted with their current workplace get a kind of okay offer and think, you know what? I'm done here. I'll just accept this and figure out later. In that hurry, they don't read the contract carefully, don't ask about company culture, don't check if the salary is gross or net, don't look closely at the benefits. Mercury retrograde, which rules communication and agreements, ends up exposing all those gaps faster than you'd expect. In a few months, you realize you jumped into something worse. Another classic, rental agreements, home purchases, or financing. Year-end is when a lot of people want to start the new year in a new place or finally move out on my own. Beautiful idea. But if you jump into a long-term contract without reading the clauses on rent increases, penalties, guarantees, deadlines, and termination conditions, that's exactly where Mercury retrograde tends to bite. Everything you pushed into the "I'll check that later" pile comes back to collect. It's not that the planet brought bad luck. It simply highlighted the parts you ignored. Then there's a world of partnerships. Business collaborations, service contracts, agreements with suppliers, professional pacts between friends. With social media, this is even more intense. Let's open a business together. Let's launch a project. Let's create a course. The idea is great. The excitement is huge. But no one puts things clearly on paper. No one defines responsibilities, rights, and boundaries. Guess when these poorly defined agreements usually blow up? During review periods like Mercury retrograde. So what should you not do? First, don't sign contracts if you don't understand every detail. Sounds obvious, But most Mercury retrograde problems come from exactly this. Honestly, I didn't even read it. I just trusted what they told me. That's exactly what this transit tests. Your ability to check information, ask questions, doubt, review. If you have to sign something during this phase, put a magnifying glass on every clause. If you don't understand something, ask. If the other side gets annoyed because you want to read calmly, that's already a huge red flag. Second, don't make permanent decisions just because you're tired, frustrated, or angry. Year-end is when emotions run high. A lot has happened. A lot has been swallowed. A lot of expectations weren't met. With Mercury retrograde, the chances of turning a momentary impulse into a permanent decision go way up. That's when we see, that's it, I'm quitting right now, I can't stand this anymore, I'm in it today, or I'm cutting this person off forever. Some decisions really do need to be made. But during this transit, you have to ask, am I truly decided, or am I exploding in a sensitive moment? Third, don't close anything important without having it in writing. Mercury retrograde loves loose verbal promises floating in the air. Don't worry, we'll settle it later. That's just a detail. No need to put in the contract. You can count on me, I'll pay you, if it matters. It needs to be clear, documented, and objectively agreed upon. That's not lack of trust, that's maturity. When the sky is asking for extra attention and communication, you protect yourself by being more clear, not less. Fourth, don't let yourself be manipulated by fake deadlines. How many times have you seen last units? Only today, never again at this price. And a month later, the same offer pops up again. Mercury retrograde, especially at year-end, talks directly to that fear of missing out. But remember, if something is truly meant for you, you won't lose it just because you took time to actually read the contract. If an offer is only good, as long as you don't think about it, maybe it's not that good. So what is the ideal attitude? It's the attitude of someone who uses Mercury retrograde as a chance to observe their life more carefully. If a big decision shows up during this time, moving, changing jobs, a relationship decision, starting a partnership, ask yourself, have I been thinking about this for a long time and I'm just wrapping it up now? Or did this come out of nowhere and I'm being pushed by the pressure of the moment? Decisions that are the result of a mature process that have been forming for months suffer much less with this transit than those born from impulse anxiety or the urge to escape. Another smart move is getting second opinions. If you're going to sign something important, ask someone you trust to read it too. If you're making a big investment, talk to someone who understands that field. Mercury retrograde loves room for interpretation. Two eyes read one way, for eyes read better. That's not overreacting. That's respecting your own money, time, and energy. And remember, sometimes the best thing you can do during Mercury retrograde isn't to act fast, but to organize information. List your questions, research, compare, gather documents, understand the situation more deeply. You're preparing the ground so that when the transit is over, you're ready to make a solid, conscious decision with a much smaller chance of regret. That's how you use the energy of the sky in your favor instead of fighting it. By the way, take a moment and look at your own life. Is there any contract you sign on autopilot that now makes you feel trapped? Any rushed decision you regret? Any situation where you clearly see that you should have read more, asked more, or stood up for yourself? If so, share in the comments what you wish you had done differently. That kind of reflection helps not only you, but also other people going through something similar right now. And if this kind of guidance helps you avoid cosmic traps, do yourself a favor and check if you're actually subscribed to the channel. A lot of people watch the videos, come back often, but don't realize they never hit that subscribe button. So go ahead and check. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos on Mercury retrograde and other important transits. Leave your like and send this video to someone who's about to sign a contract or make a big end-of-year decision. It might be exactly the warning they need before taking their next step. If there's one area where Mercury retrograde loves to play with our patience, it's communication. And today, communication isn't just face-to-face talk anymore. It's WhatsApp messages, Instagram DMs, long rants on Telegram, comments on social media, 5-minute voice notes no one ever listens to, seen with no reply, reply without even opening the message, The list is endless. Now mix all of that with year-end energy, emotional exhaustion, reunions and goodbyes, and you've got the perfect setup for confusion. Sensitive family members, long-lost friends popping up, exes reappearing, a ghosted crush acting like nothing ever happened. So, what should you not do during this time? Let's start with a classic, the "Hey Stranger" text. Mercury Retrograde is a champion at bringing people from the past back into your life. Sometimes literally with a message, a call, or a like on an old photo. Sometimes just mentally, with persistent memories that won't leave you alone. That's not random. This transit opens a sort of tunnel between unresolved situations and the present. It doesn't do that to torture you, but to get you to look at what's still unfinished. The catch is, not everything that comes back is meant to be restarted. That's where the danger lies. The first thing you should not do is send impulsive messages driven by loneliness, anger, or nostalgia. Especially at the end of the year, when the everyone with their family vibe is strong. It activates wounds in those who feel alone, rejected, or forgotten. Mercury Retrograde distorts perception. You see a memory, hear a song, scroll past an old photo, and suddenly a relationship that was full of problems starts looking almost perfect. Loneliness puts a soft filter over the past. The transit confuses your judgment, and boom, "Hey Stranger" sent. The next day, when your emotions calm down, you're asking yourself, why did I do that? Another thing you shouldn't do is try to fix complex relationships only through text. Mercury Retrograde has a very clear signature: misunderstanding. That sentence you wrote with love can be read as irritation. That emoji you thought was cute can come across as sarcasm. That voice note that felt sincere to you can be interpreted as guilt-tripping, manipulation, or drama. And year-end is already a time when everyone is more sensitive, so any little glitch can blow up quickly. As an astrologer, I always recommend, during Mercury Retrograde, especially at the end of the year, avoid sending huge, life-changing texts. Don't break up by text. Don't make serious accusations in writing. Don't send ultimatums. You can write out how you feel. That can be therapeutic. But save it as a draft. Reread it later, breathe, and if possible, choose to talk in person or at least through a voice or video call. Spoken word with tone and pauses greatly reduce the risk of misunderstanding. Written words under this transit are way more vulnerable to being twisted. It's also a particularly fragile time for group conversations. Family group chats, work groups, old school friends, church groups, neighborhood, you name it. You know that little comment you drop casually and suddenly it turns into a full-blown argument? Mercury Retrograde loves that. What you should not do is jump into heated group debates during this period, especially about politics, religion, money, or important family decisions. A simple, "I don't agree," can be read as a personal attack. And at year-end, when everyone is exhausted, tolerance levels are low. Another point worth extra attention is the overload of assumptions. Mercury Retrograde messes with how we perceive and interpret what other people do or don't do. Someone takes a while to respond, and we immediately start writing a whole script. They don't care about me. They're ignoring me. They couldn't care less. They're probably with someone else. But in real life, it might be much simpler. They're busy, offline, tired, or going through something they haven't shared. What you should not do is turn silence into a verdict. And definitely don't go off dropping indirect posts, guilt trips, or emotional outbursts because of it. And speaking of indirects, let's talk about them. Posting cryptic quotes on your status, sharing dramatic text hoping that person will see it, uploading stories with passive-aggressive hints. Mercury Retrograde amplifies this kind of noise. Instead of solving anything, it makes things worse. It creates even more confusion, invites people who know nothing about the situation to comment, and drags third parties into the mess. If there's one thing this transit invites us to avoid, it's exactly this game of indirect communication that looks grown up on the outside, but is pretty immature at its core. Talking to everyone, when a message is actually for one person. We also can't ignore gossip. With Mercury Retrograde, any half-checked information has the potential to become a dramatic misunderstanding. That "someone told me so-and-so said this about you" might just be a distorted snippet, a fragment of the story. What you should not do is pass along and react to information you haven't confirmed. Avoid being a channel for gossip, especially at the end of the year when family and friend gatherings tend to dredge up old conflicts. If someone comes to you with, "You won't believe what I heard about them," take a deep breath and remember, this is not the time to feed that kind of energy. Now, let's turn inward. Mercury retrograde also affects your inner dialogue, the way you talk to yourself, the stories you repeat about who you are, what you deserve, what no one will ever understand about you. Year-end is famous for triggering comparison mode. They got married, they got the job, they traveled, and me? What you should not do is use this period to reinforce narratives of self-devaluation. Instead, you can use this review energy to observe. What stories do I keep telling myself that no longer match the person I'm becoming? So, practically speaking, what helps avoid a lot of Mercury retrograde headaches in the communication department? Don't send important messages in the peak of emotional explosion. If you're really triggered, write in your notes app, wait a few hours or even until the next day, then reread it. Half of what felt urgent loses intensity after the emotion settles. Don't draw final conclusions from a dry reply, a short emoji, or a delayed message. Instead of thinking, "That's it, they don't care anymore," try asking directly and kindly if everything is okay. Don't accept invitations to fight in group chats. If the discussion is heating up, you can choose to step back, reply later, or move the conversation to a private, calmer space when the transit is lighter. Don't use "Hey stranger" as a cure for loneliness. If you feel like reopening contact, ask yourself, do I really want this relationship back in my life, or am I just trying to numb a temporary ache? Lack of presence with yourself is what causes the biggest regrets in this transit. And above all, don't underestimate the power of words. What you say now, even in a message, can echo for a long time. At year-end, this review energy combines with a natural life audit vibe, and what you say or write can either close doors or open new paths. So choose carefully. If, while I'm talking about this, you remembered a message you sent and regretted, a conversation that went off the rails because of misunderstanding, or that "Hey stranger" that came back to haunt you later, share it in the comments if you feel comfortable. You can even keep it simple. Just drop the person's zodiac sign and say whether that message was a great idea or a total cosmic mistake. I'll know exactly what you mean. These stories help a lot of people realize they're not alone in their Mercury retrograde messes. And if this content is making you reflect on your conversations and decisions, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit like right now. That's how you let me know this kind of guidance resonates with you. If someone specific came to mind, maybe that friend who always texts their ex on New Year's Eve, or that buddy who cannot stay out of a group chat fight, send this video to them too. With a bit more awareness, Mercury retrograde can become less chaos and a lot more healing for our relationships. If there's one area of life where Mercury retrograde really loves to get to work, it's this trio: travel, technology, and impulsive shopping. And at the end of the year, all three meet in a perfect point of tension. People desperate for cheaper tickets, a last-minute rush to pack, buy a new phone, laptop, TV, promotions coming from every direction, decisions made on impulse without reading the fine print. Then when something goes wrong, the person sighs and says, "It has to be Mercury retrograde." And many times, it really is its signature there, combined with our own distraction. Let's start with travel. The end of the year is already naturally a chaotic time in airports, bus terminals, and on the roads. Now at a transit that rules exactly this. Movement schedules, documents, information, and communication, all operating in review mode. What you should not do during this time is leave everything to the last minute. Rely only on your memory, and assume that it'll all work out without double-checking anything. Mercury retrograde loves to catch the details you decided to ignore. A wrong digit in your ID number, a name typed with an extra letter, a time you misread, a layover that's way too tight, an incomplete address. You know those stories about someone who bought a ticket for the 12th thinking it was for the 21st? Or who showed up at the right airport but on the wrong day or for the wrong flight? Or who booked a hotel in one city and later realized the hotel was actually in a different city with the same name? That kind of confusion is very typical of this transit when we're on autopilot. So what you should not do is buy tickets without checking them 1,000 times. If you're in a Mercury retrograde period, especially at the end of the year, here's a golden rule. Never finalize a travel purchase without checking dates, times, names, and document numbers at least 2 or 3 times. And if possible, ask someone else to check too. Do not trust a rush. Do not trust, "I'll fix it later" with the airline. You cannot always fix it, and when you can, it is often expensive. Another trap is leaving everything to figure out when I get there. Showing up at the bus station, assuming there will be seats available, trusting that the Maps app will magically take you to the right place without you actually looking at the address beforehand. Counting on perfect internet on the road, so you can download your boarding QR code at the last second. Mercury Retrograde interferes exactly with those gears. What you should not do is depend exclusively on technology to access something essential without having a plan B. If your battery dies, if the app crashes, if the internet drops, what do? That is why, during this period, going a little old school works very well. Print or screenshot your tickets. Save confirmations offline. Write the address down somewhere physical. Keep copies of important documents. This is not paranoia. It is respecting the energy of the transit. If you help Mercury retrograde with organization, it tends to be gentler. If you throw everything into its hand with no structure, it sends back delays, changes, confusion, and wasted time. Speaking of technology, let's move to the second point: electronic devices. Mercury rules, among other things, systems, connections, cables, transmissions, software. In retrograde periods, it is common to see more glitches. Computers freezing, emails not sending, platforms going down, a phone deciding to die the day before your trip, a TV burning out on the night of a big event. At the end of the year, when so many people depend on technology to work, communicate, and record memories, this hits even harder. What you should not do, if you can avoid it, is rely on a single device for something extremely important without any backup. For example, having all your tickets, reservations, and documents only on a phone with a dying battery or cracked screen, or depending on a laptop with no backup to deliver an important project right before New Year's. Mercury retrograde does not break things on purpose, but it does intensify the weak spots in what was already poorly maintained. It is also a delicate time for big tech purchases made on impulse. A very expensive phone just because it was in a flash sale, a giant TV without checking if it fits in the space, a laptop when you do not even know if the configuration really matches what you need. Another classic under this transit is products arriving different from what was advertised, defective, or with details you did not notice because you did not read everything. What you should not do is hit buy now, just because the discount looks amazing, without checking specifications, store reputation, delivery times, and return policies. Mercury retrograde at the end of the year also matches perfectly with aggressive marketing campaigns. Today only, last units, never again at this price. As an astrologer, I always say, nothing that is truly good for you will depend on your inability to think calmly. If you have to decide purely on impulse so you not miss it, you can be sure you are opening the door to regret, especially under a transit like this. One extremely valuable attitude here is to make a list of what you really need before promo season starts. Instead of going onto a site and being seduced by random offers, you go in already knowing, I need a phone for work with these features. I need good headphones for traveling. I need a laptop with these specs. That protects you from impulse buys that, in the end, do not meet your needs and just lock your money into something you barely use. Another point many people forget is checking warranty and support. What you should not do is buy electronics from a sketchy source. With no receipt, no clear warranty, and that famous one-off deal no one can really explain. If Mercury retrograde brings a defect to light, you will want someone to call. Buying cheaply in a risky way can end up costing you much more later. And of course, you cannot talk about technology in this transit without talking about backup. The end of the year is when many people want to record photos and videos, moments with family and friends. It is also when many professional projects are wrapping up, work is being delivered, reports are being finalized. What you should not do is trust the idea that this never happens to me when it comes to losing files. Mercury retrograde loves to remind you that anything not properly saved is vulnerable. So, using this review energy wisely, the best thing to do is organize your folders, back things up to cloud or an external hard drive, review passwords, and carefully update what needs to be updated. Remember that big system updates done in a rush can also cause problems. If you're going to update, do it with time, a full battery, and a stable connection. And never click Update Now 5 minutes before an important meeting, or right as you are heading out the door for a trip. Finally, let's talk about consumer behavior as a whole. The end of the year stirs up desire, comparison, and the illusion that if I buy this thing, my life will finally fall into place. Mercury Retrograde, in turn, affects mental clarity. The result is a lot of purchases made to plug emotional holes, with money the person does not really have, in monthly payments that will follow them throughout the next year. What you should not do is use sales and discounts as an excuse to buy without awareness. If before that ad popped up, you were not even thinking about that item, that is a sign. A wonderful question to ask yourself during this transit is, am I buying this because I really need it, or because I do not want to look at something that is hurting inside me? Sometimes the real end-of-year work is not the new TV or the top-of-the-line phone. It is a conversation you've been avoiding, a boundary you never set, or rest you never allow yourself. Mercury Retrograde invites you to review your priorities. Ignoring that invitation by opening your wallet for anything and everything is just a way of running from yourself. If you've already gone through some Mercury Retrograde mess with travel, technology, or impulse shopping, tell me in the comments. Was it a ticket issue with the wrong date, a phone that died on your trip, or a perfect deal that turned into regret? Write your zodiac sign as well, because I love seeing how each energy handled it. And if these tips are helping you plan your year-end better, hit like and save this video to a playlist so you can come back to it before finalizing a purchase or setting up a trip. If you know someone who is planning to travel at the end of the year, buy a new phone, or go on a big shopping spree in pure excitement, share this video with them now. Sometimes a simple warning at the right time prevents so much stress that almost feels like Mercury Retrograde itself is saying, thanks for cooperating. After everything we talked about, you might be feeling like Mercury Retrograde is a long hallway full of signs saying, don't do this, be careful with that, pay attention over there. But the truth is, this transit does not exist just to limit you. Before anything else, it is an invitation to live with more awareness. And when you really understand that, the focus stops being what should I avoid and becomes how can I use this period in my favor? That is where the game changes. Think of Mercury Retrograde as that teacher who, instead of letting you move on to the next chapter without understanding the basics, pulls you back and says, hold on, review this. At the end of the year, this energy becomes even more symbolic because we're already in a natural moment of review, looking back at a year, revisiting decisions, revisiting relationships. This transit simply amplifies what life itself is already asking you to do. So the big question is, how do you cooperate with that? The first thing you can do, which matches Mercury Retrograde perfectly, is to revisit old stories with new eyes. Instead of feeding resentment, bitterness, and phrases like, this always happens to me, use this period to ask yourself, what did this situation teach me? What did I not see back then that I can see now? Sometimes a breakup, a job that did not work out, or a project that fell apart carries lessons you can only access when you slow down and calmly review the story. This transit supports exactly that kind of conscious return to the past, not to suffer all over again, but to integrate what you learned. Another powerful attitude is to pick up projects you left on the shelf. Mercury Retrograde is great for revisiting old ideas. That course you started and never finished. That book you began writing. That career change you always wanted but kept postponing. That language you want to study. Instead of starting a bunch of new things on impulse. This period helps you when you decide to finish what you started or give new shape to old plans. Sometimes what you need is not a brand new dream, but a new approach to the dreams you already had and abandoned. This is also a great time to review your goals, especially your New Year's resolutions. Instead of writing a huge list of disconnected items pushed by the pressure of now it's finally going to happen, try looking at what genuinely makes sense for you. Ask yourself, of everything I promised myself in other years, what truly matched who I am? What was a real desire and what was just comparison with other people's lives? Mercury Retrograde is excellent for fine-tuning intentions. You can use this transit to clear out goals that no longer fit you and strengthen the ones that still make your heart light up. A simple practice that aligns extremely well with Mercury retrograde is writing. Put on paper what you feel, what you notice, what you now understand about old situations. Write letters you do not need to send, but that help you organize your thoughts. Write about patterns you notice in yourself, like, every time this happens, I react that way. Writing is one of Mercury's main channels, and in retrograde motion, it becomes a tool for healing. It is not about creating beautiful text. It is about creating clarity inside yourself. Another way to use this period well is to invest in conscious conversations. You already know this is not the best time for emotional explosions, impulsive long messages, and definitive decisions over text. But it is a very good time to talk calmly, to ask instead of assuming, to listen instead of attacking. Think about that person you always wanted to make peace with but never found the right tone. Maybe this is the moment to try again, without the pressure we have to fix everything today, but with a genuine openness to hear their point of view and express yours honestly. When used with maturity, Mercury retrograde can help rebuild bridges that seemed worn out. On a practical level, you can turn this transit into a big information cleanup. Organize documents, emails, folders, photos, passwords. Delete what no longer serves you. Archive what matters. Make lists of unresolved tasks. This applies to both your digital and physical life. Review old contracts. Look at agreements you sign on autopilot. Understand where your commitments actually are. It may sound boring, but it is liberating, and it fits perfectly with that end-of-year cleanse energy. It is also an excellent period for self-observation. Instead of reacting automatically to situations, you can use Mercury retrograde to ask yourself, every time something goes wrong, what is this episode showing me about myself? Maybe a delay is showing you that you are trying to take on more than you can. Maybe a misunderstanding reveals that you are not communicating as clearly as you think. Maybe an impulsive purchase exposes a sense of emptiness you have been avoiding. When you use the transit as a mirror, it stops being an enemy and starts becoming a guide. On a spiritual level, this period supports silence, introspection, and connection with your inner voice. It is no coincidence that so many people feel like stepping back a bit from the external noise at this time. Meditating, praying, spending time in a spiritual space that resonates with you. Taking a walk without headphones and just listening to your own thoughts. All of this respects the energy of Mercury retrograde. It is like turning down the outside volume so you can hear the more subtle frequency of your own truth. And there is one last point that is very important. Kindness with yourself. Mercury retrograde, especially at the end of the year, tends to bring up situations where you notice poor choices, missed opportunities, conversations that could have gone better. Instead of using that to beat yourself up, you can choose to use it as material for growth. The question is not, how could I have been so foolish? But how can I act differently from now on? This transit does not demand perfection. It asks for presence. In the end, using Mercury retrograde in your favor is about making an agreement with time. I accept slowing down so I can live with more awareness. It is choosing to review before you sign, think before you speak, and feel before you decide. It is understanding that not everything needs to be solved in a rush, and that sometimes the universe protects you precisely when it delays something you have done too quickly and carelessly. So instead of fearing the next Mercury retrograde, you can ask, what is it inviting me to review now? A belief about myself, a relationship, a contract, a communication habit, a way of spending and consuming? If you look at this transit from that perspective, you will see that it does not come to ruin your year end, but to adjust what is crooked so you can step into the next cycle with more clarity. Now I want to hear from you. Out of everything we talked about here, which attitude do you feel you most need to change in the next Mercury retrograde? Is it thinking twice before sending a message? Reviewing contracts more calmly? Stopping the impulse to buy things you do not need? Having more honest conversations? Write in the comments which point hit you the hardest and what commitment you want to make to yourself from today on. Reading these conscious decisions creates a really beautiful current of energy between people who are here trying to grow together. And if this video helped you look at Mercury retrograde with less fear and more wisdom, take a moment to like it now, because that lets the algorithm and me know that this kind of content is meaningful for you. If you are not part of this space yet, Subscribe to the channel so you can keep following forecasts, guidance, and reflections about other important transits. And share this video with someone who is always saying, "My year end is always a mess." Maybe what this person needs is not more luck, but a bit more awareness of how the sky is speaking to their life.